Well, the bourse has been rallying this year, and projected 5% economic growth in 2010 is expected to encourage the bulls. Yesterday, the market's seeing a slight dip back, though. What are you making of current market movement and sentiment that's out there?
Good morning. Thank you for having me on. I think we are still on course to see continued growth in the market, the stock market. I think what we've seen yesterday is just a minor adjustment. We should see this correct as we go along this week. We also must note that the all-share index was actually up and recorded actually a new high, a seasonal high. So I think we have to look at this holistically, and we also must take into account that we've introduced KenolKobil in place of East African cables as one of the stocks used to calculate these indices. So I think that's a crucial factor, and moving on, I think we are poised to see something better.
What's your take on current valuations? Because some, Robert, are saying that on a trailing price-to-earnings basis, the bourse looks rich, but on a forward price-to-earnings basis, it remains good value.
I agree with that, but not fully. Maybe if you speak of some specific stocks. Looking at stocks like Scan Group, that is in the commercial and services sector, I would have said that is indeed true, because we see the market value of the stock at 63, 65 shillings is not actually the book value of the stock, which maybe should be trading at around 50, 55 shillings. But then again, if you look at the most growing sector of the equities market, we see that it's the financial sector. Looking also at the results just in, we had KCB, we have Equity today, we also had HFCK. These earnings are yet to reach true fruition in the short term. So I do not think it's overvalued in any way, and I think what we see here is a true reflection of the long-stated economic value of these stocks.
Have you had any time to look any closer at those equity bank numbers which came through this morning? Because I've just got the headline figure that we've seen a profit before tax for the third quarter come in at 6.5 billion shillings.
Well, unfortunately, I would have either been there or here, but I have not had a chance to look at that. But I think my projection was right, should be above 50, 55%. I would have to go back to the office and do some more analysis on that. But I expected this growth, and I'm just waiting for the other banks to come forward so that we can have a better comparative analysis.
Robert, glad that you opted for us this morning. In the meantime, let's take a look at housing finance numbers. Those were out yesterday and revealing that it wrote more mortgages in the first 9 months of the year, raising pre-tax profit for the period by 67%. That's quite phenomenal, and that's the way it looks on the surface. Is that the extent of the story, that it's simply phenomenal?
Indeed, it is. And I think back to what you had asked earlier about the market value and about whether these stocks are actually running amok in terms of pricing and valuation, I would say they are not. Look at HFCK. They had a successful bond issue about 2 weeks ago where they raised 7 billion shillings. And looking at what they wish to do with this money, looking at the goodwill and investor confidence, we are seeing the stock yet to go much higher than it is right now. And also looking at the results, a much higher figure than they did last year in September. So I think we are yet to see better value.
Robert, we recently saw a High Court decision to declare jailing of debt defaulters unconstitutional, and some saying that it's more likely to raise the cost of borrowing as lenders increase their risk premium charges to shield themselves from a potential rise in debt recovery costs. Is that a concern for you, and what that could potentially spell for economic growth moving forward?
Yes, I think on the policy part, I am a bit skeptical on how that is to work out. But looking again at what it would mean for lenders and looking at the commercial banks, it may be a double-edged sword for them. I don't know how possible it is for them to keep the rates high, because if the problem is defaulters, I think we also had the credit referencing bureaus legislated some time back. I think this should help check that. And I don't think the competitive arena in the financial sector would allow such prices to run very long. So I think it's really good that we look at it in terms of how practical is it? Is it applicable in the setting we have today, or is it not? But I think it's not.
Well, not only are banking sector stealing attention, we've had East African Breweries making new headlines this morning. It's completed the acquisition of that 51% stake in Tanzania's Serengeti Breweries. And as I was saying earlier, this share price has been on, what, a 7-session rally so far. What are you making of East African Breweries at the moment?
I think the company is doing what most mature companies would do, and that's venturing out by divesting. And maybe this takeover or more of an acquisition is actually something which is good for them. It's good for the company. The Kenyan market seems already mature enough to move out, or rather move on in terms of diversifying their other market niches. And I think Serengeti Breweries may offer this opportunity for East African breweries. And we have already seen an effect on the stocks, going up about 4% in about 2 weeks, from about 195 shillings trading at 212 shillings. I think it's a good move by the company. We also had them streamline their management, and I think all these things are geared in making the company live longer and do better as it has been over the past years.